angry and hurt and unquestionably doubting whether there could or would be change, I said it is incumbent upon me and everyone in leadership to not just say words about change, but to produce change and show people that we can have a better and more just society. It begins with all of us who you have chosen to lead to actually create that new reality. It cannot just be rhetoric. Rhetoric will be seen through quickly. It should not be just words. It should be actions. So I said yesterday, and I say it again today, you will see change in the city. You will see change in the NYPD. We simply have not gone far enough. This status quo is still broken. It must change. We're not going to forget all the progress that has been made, and it is in so many ways important and evident. But it's not enough. And people will know in their hearts when things have been made right. That's the moment I have to get us to more and more every single day. They will know when there's more justice. They will know when there's more fairness. They will know when people in this city can walk down the street and feel they are safe from crime, but they also are not going to be disrespected because of who they are. We are not there yet, and we have to get there. So this will be the work for the next year and a half of this administration to make more change, to make it urgently, to make it powerfully, to make it clear. And that work will proceed immediately. And you will see those results, and you'll judge for yourself, as all New Yorkers do. But even though we say that phrase, words matter, and words do matter, actions matter more, and that's what we have to achieve. So let's talk about yesterday, last night, and also what we have to do. There were protests over New York City during the day. They were overwhelmingly peaceful. Some proceeded into the night, also overwhelmingly peaceful. There are things we need to address. There are things we need to fix in the NYPD, but the overall restraint levels were clear. And I always express my appreciation to the men and women of the NYPD for the work they do. And we need that restraint. We expect that restraint. That is the instruction that all officers have been given. There were those overwhelmingly peaceful protests. There were few or no attacks on property. There were, however, some attempts at violence. And this is the point I always want to make to people. We've got a very few mingled in among the peaceful protesters who aim to do violence. Their methods are systematic. I have asked the NYPD to keep providing the information, what we're seeing here, what we're seeing around the country, about that very systematic attempt to foster violence. We will not accept that. Every single time we'll intervene to stop that. We also saw, in the midst of what was undoubtedly overwhelmingly what we want to see, an overwhelmingly peaceful night, peaceful protest, little or no property damage, efforts at violence thwarted. These are all very good and important things. We saw some things that weren't so good. And I want to make sure those are addressed. First of all, there is no circumstance in which a member of the news media should ever be arrested by the NYPD or any other police organization. If you said to me, well, what if that person overtly went out and committed a crime? Obviously, then they're committing a crime. They're not doing their job as a member of the news media. That is a different matter. What I'm concerned about is when news media is out there doing their job, reporting, looking at the truth, whether it's convenient or inconvenient truth, their right to do their job must be protected at all times. That is as clear as a bell in our Constitution. So I don't know why we've seen here and in other parts of the country instances where members of the media were arrested. That is unacceptable, and that needs to stop. And it's clear that that is one of the underpinnings of a free society. Also, want to make clear, this curfew was brought together very quickly in an emergency situation. The message from the beginning was essential workers doing their job in the middle of doing their work are exempted from the curfew. And I want to make that clear to people. The curfew is only going on for a few more nights. But essential workers are essential workers. Any essential worker doing their job is exempted from the curfew. And we are making that abundantly clear to everyone, to the essential workers themselves, and to the NYPD. Each night we see a lot of good work. Each night we see some progress towards our goal of getting back to a fully peaceful circumstance so we can move forward, because phase one, the restart of our city, begins Monday. And that's where we're supremely focused to start moving us forward. But each night we see certainly several situations that raise real questions, individual instances where our officers take an action that raises a valid concern. In each and every case, there must be a full investigation. And where discipline is warranted, it needs to be speedy. I've had this conversation with Commissioner Shea. We're working together to ensure that the past history where internal discipline in the NYPD was slow, we're not doing that anymore. We have to move past that. Commissioner Shea spoke passionately yesterday about his desire to heal, to bring police and community together, to continue that progress, and to make clear to people there are consequences when something is done wrong. The vast, vast majority of officers do their job, do it right. But when someone does something wrong, as in all of our society, there must be consequences. Commissioner Shea made clear yesterday, disciplinary actions are about to be announced. Some will include suspensions of officers. There's a lot going on. But one thing that has to happen is people need to see, the people of the city need to see that when an officer does something wrong, it is investigated, it is found to be true that something wrong was done, there must be consequences and they must be swift. That is one of the ways to restore trust and begin the process of moving us forward, and that is what we will do. Now let me go back to the big picture here. We're addressing right now a deep concern, a deep set of concerns about policing, about structural racism, about the history of racism in policing, and those are very real and well-documented concerns, and we have to keep weeding out that racism. We have to end that history, even though it hangs over us so heavily. And that will take a better disciplinary system, that will take more transparency, that will take better efforts to screen out officers who don't belong on the force or remove officers who don't belong on the force. And that work will actually help us to move forward, because neighborhood policing has worked. Neighborhood policing has created a deeper bond between police and community. We've seen it many, many ways. We've seen the way it helps us drive down crimes. Reducing arrest has worked. Reducing incarceration has worked. We've got a lot we have to do together, but it begins with restoring faith that there will be transparency and there will be justice. And then that's the platform upon which we can build much deeper reforms. I want us to get to the day where no one wonders if they're being treated differently because of the color of their skin. We are not there, to say the least. We have to get there. But again, it's not about words. People will know it if they start to experience something differently. Young men came up to me over the years and told me how different it was to not be stopped all the time. Stop and frisk was a horrible stain on this city. Hundreds of thousands of young people in a given year treated like criminals even though they hadn't done anything, devalued. Young men of color, the future of this city, devalued, treated with disrespect. That was broken. We fixed that. And I've heard from those who used to experience that disrespect how much better it feels to just be able to walk down the street, go to school, go to work, be treated with dignity and decency. We've got a lot more to do. That should be every encounter that a citizen of this city has with the NYPD. That's what we strive for. But in the meantime, we've got huge inequities we have to address, not just in policing, in our economy, in our healthcare system. everything laid bare by the coronavirus epidemic. And right now, we must address those disparities. We must keep our city safe in this moment of this pandemic. We have to restart our economy. Wherever I go, people talk about how fearful they are for their health, for their family's health, but also because they're running out of money, or they already have run out of money. How are they going to pay the rent? How are they going to pay for food? How are they going to pay for medications? We have to fight back this disease more. We cannot take our eye off the ball. So Monday is the restart, and that will be something that will allow us to get people back to their livelihoods, but it will also come to with challenges of fighting back this disease. What does it come down to? If we're going to fight this disease, it is once again about that word you've heard so many times, testing, testing,